America's fastest growing state since 2020 isn't the one you're thinking of. It's not Texas, and it isn't Florida either. It's remote, landlocked, and with almost no infrastructure, it shouldn't be growing at all. But it's seen its population grow by 10% in just 5 years. Another state is seeing an increase that defies logic. It's surrounded by desert with one famous city and a water supply that's visibly shrinking. But despite this, it's seen almost 6% growth. Neither state has the universities, the ports, or industries that economic theory says should attract mass migration. These two states shouldn't be expanding the way they are. And yet, people are moving there faster than almost anywhere else. At first glance, it looks like affordability is driving this. But if that were true, this would have happened years ago. Idaho shouldn't be anyone's idea of an economic powerhouse. The biggest employers include St. Luke's health system, Walmart, and the state government. The tech sector is growing, but having less than 2% of the population in a sector the state is betting its future on is barely a revolution. And yet, almost 30,000 people a year are choosing it over everywhere else. So what do they know that the economic data doesn't? Nevada's story is even harder to explain. Las Vegas holds 20% of Nevada's population. The rest of the state, mostly empty desert. It's like they rolled the dice on development and lost. By all logic, Idaho and Nevada shouldn't be seeing nearly this much growth. Las Vegas only took off because it became a haven for vices people couldn't indulge in anywhere else. Idaho is different, though. It has things Nevada doesn't, and that might be part of the puzzle. One of Idaho's hidden advantages lies in the Snake River Plain. It's fertile farmland that produces a third of America's potatoes and most of its farm-raised trout. It doesn't sound glamorous, yet it keeps the population climbing. Why? The answer is cheap empty land and cheaper homes. The median home price in Idaho was $478,000 in February of 2026, slightly above the national median, but far cheaper than the city's many newcomers are fleeing. Boise is close enough to Seattle and Portland for economic ties, but far enough to escape crushing city costs. Boise is now the 5th fastest growing U.S. city, and that's rapidly reshaping its housing, its infrastructure, and overall quality of life. It's absorbing the overflow of people priced out of the Pacific Northwest. The same story is happening on the East Coast, where cities like Atlanta and Charlotte are drawing residents away from expensive coastal hubs like New York. Nevada is stranger. Las Vegas dominates the state, accounting for roughly 3/4 of its jobs and nearly 80% of its economy. But there's another place on the rise, one whose portfolio is more diversified. Reno grew by almost 17.3% between 2010 and 2020. That's faster than Las Vegas itself. Sure, there are casinos there. Gambling is legal in the state, but the geography is also working better than elsewhere in Nevada. The reason? All the tech jobs that have been showing up lately. Reno was designated as a federal tech hub in October of 2023, and that means federal funding and incentives for companies to set up shop. Why here? Northern Nevada has become a hotbed for lithium, a key ingredient in advanced batteries. So little by little, Nevada's economy might be emerging from the Las Vegas stranglehold, but it's the early days. There are other, more important reasons for the population shift. The median home price in Nevada is just over $500,000. Above the national median, yeah, but not by much. And the state has an advantage Idaho doesn't. It has no income tax. Maybe that's a good incentive to move, but there's a bigger driver. Both Idaho and Nevada are right next to California, and California is bleeding people. Fast. So fast, in fact, that the state lost a congressional seat for the first time. Demographers expect it'll lose 3 after the 2030 census, more than any other state. Meanwhile, Idaho is set to gain 1. About 1/3 of Idaho's newcomers are coming from the Golden State. In Nevada, it's even more dramatic. Since 2020, roughly 43% of new residents have left California to take their chances in the desert. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why. The median house price in California is about $906,000, almost double the US median, and its state tax competitiveness ranks 48th out of 50. The Golden State doesn't seem so golden anymore, but neither are the states people are fleeing to. Idaho is one of the most infrastructure-poor states in the country. Look closer and the cracks do start to show. Wastewater systems are so strained that dozens of plants violated federal standards. In recent years, facilities in cities like Kuna and Driggs have pumped pollutants into local waterways. Imagine a city marketed as a tech-friendly paradise while parents scramble to keep their kids away from contaminated water. These aren't numbers in a report. These are real consequences, and they never make it into the real estate listings. As of 2022, only 87% of the state had reliable high-speed internet. For many, that came at a steep price. Not ideal for a state trying to attract tech and remote workers, is it? On paper, none of this sounds fatal, at least. Infrastructure can be fixed, broadband can be expanded, but that's where the real problem begins. Idaho is growing fast, but it's still small. Boise barely has over 200,000 people. Only 3 cities cross 6 figures. The population surge is happening faster than the state can realistically keep up with, and that's a problem. Infrastructure depends on a broad tax base. With so few people footing the bill, the rapid population surge is outpacing the state's ability to fund the services it promises. So, Idaho ends up in a strange position. It's growing like a major destination, but operating like a rural state. The tax base isn't deep enough to fund everything that growth demands. And unlike California, there's no massive pool of resources to fall back on. The same geography that make these states affordable, remote, dry, underdeveloped, is the geography that makes them unsustainable at the scale people are moving there. It can call on the federal government for more help, but that would mean owing people in Washington favors. The state can also raise taxes to pay for the needed infrastructure upgrades, but that removes one of the incentives for people to move there. Idaho isn't like Florida and Texas. Those states are so big and have so many geographical advantages that they have a partially captive audience. A modest tax increase won't cause people to move away, especially compared to higher taxing states like California or New York. But if Idaho raises taxes, there are other low-tax, low-population states right there that people can move to, including the burgeoning tech hub of Nevada. On paper, Nevada looks like it's handling the pressure. The bridges are in decent shape, wastewater systems aren't falling apart, and in Las Vegas, new infrastructure has kept pace with the city's growth. But step outside Clark County, and the story changes fast. Nearly 90% of the state is still rural. Most of the land isn't even privately owned, it belongs to the federal government. That makes development slow, complicated, and tangled in bureaucracy. Las Vegas might be keeping up, but Reno certainly isn't. As the population swells, Reno is staring down an infrastructure debt cliff. Hundreds of millions of dollars in maintenance have been deferred. Basic things like parking lots are already deteriorating. Downtown holds a large share of the state's crumbling bridges. Traffic is getting worse, and the roads were never built for this kind of growth. The city is becoming more popular, but not necessarily more livable. Highways and interstates are getting upgrades, but Reno is still behind. For years, its infrastructure was underfunded. It was built for a city that was never supposed to grow this fast. There may be a breaking point, but it's just not the kind anyone was hoping for. Housing prices are rising. The people who came looking for affordability are starting to feel the same pressure they tried to escape. Locals have a name for it too: Californication, and the numbers back them up. The median home price in Idaho has soared by nearly 32% since 2020. In Nevada, it's about a 47% jump. Every new resident adds demand for water, roads, and power, resources that were never abundant in these desert lands. But let's say that Idaho and Nevada can figure out a way around their soaring housing costs and infrastructure problems. The two states still suffer from geographical problems they're not well prepared for. It doesn't look it, but Boise sits right in the middle of a desert basin. Nevada has it worse. Nearly 58% of Hoover Dam's power is contractually committed to California, a compact signed when Las Vegas barely existed and never renegotiated since. On paper, it all holds together, there, and it works until it doesn't. Nevada has adopted an aggressive approach to conservation. Grass bans, pool limits, severe penalties. Even so, projections show the Las Vegas metro could reach 4 million by 2050, straining resources. The Snake River Plain provides water for 15% of Idaho's population. The EPA officially classifies it as the only viable source of drinking water for broad parts of Idaho, and that's all under threat. The desert conditions are getting even worse. Since the 1950s, the snowpack that feeds the river has been shrinking, and the pattern is accelerating. 2021 and 2025 were 2 of the 5 driest years on record. For a state that depends on the Snake River, that's a problem you can't ignore. Idaho is trying to stay ahead of the water crisis. In 2024, the state managed to recharge some of its aquifers, but that was thanks to above-average snowfall. One dry year could undo all of that. The government can teach conservation and fund education, but it can't stop people from moving in and using more water. And even with these challenges, Idaho is still lucky. Nevada's water problems are far worse. If Idaho caught a cold, Nevada is battling a fast-spreading cancer. Las Vegas and the entire southern Nevada area depend on one and only one source of water, Lake Mead. There's no backup plan. It's all or nothing, and the nothing is creeping closer. And the lake is running dry, fast. But it's not just the drinking water. If levels drop below 950 feet, the hydroelectric turbines stop, cutting electricity to Southern California. Las Vegas would still have power, but where would its water come from? So, the wagons are circling. In 2021, a water shortage was declared at Lake Mead for the first time. The Bureau of Reclamation even had to make an emergency request to prevent water levels from dropping any further. And yet, people keep moving in, straining every drop of water. Nevada already has one of the most aggressive water conservation programs in the country. Between 2002 and 2025, per capita water use dropped 58%, even with the influx of new residents. How'd they pull it off? By removing grass from certain areas, the Silver State has saved 203 billion gallons of water since 1999. Nevada has had to crack down hard on water use that would be normal elsewhere. Golf courses are limited to a set amount of water per irrigated acre, and the penalties are severe if they exceed it. Planning to buy a property with a pool? It'll be limited to 600 square feet. And grass lawns have been banned for new homes in southern Nevada since December of 2021. But if migration patterns continue, these efforts might still not be enough. Even the strictest rules can't keep pace with relentless growth, and the strain is building fast. So those water rules will get even more restrictive in the near future. They have to. There's no other way. These states aren't winning because they're stronger. They're winning because someone else's problems moved here. And now the consequences are arriving. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MatPack.